Hi everybody, welcome back. Remember, if you need your notebook and your marker to write with, go grab it now. You can pause me and then we'll get started. Today, we have a new unit on measurement and data. Today we're mostly going to be measuring. Remember last week we were measuring the outside of shapes to find the perimeter, the outside. Today we're going to think about measuring lines to the nearest ½ inch. So let's go ahead and get started with a quick review of fractions. If you remember your fractions, it might help you with the measurement. So let's get going. On this number line, you can think about the whole numbers that I wrote. Whole number 0, there's a hole, and then whole number 1, here's a hole, whole number 2, here's a hole, and whole number 3. Think, how many pieces did I divide each hole into? Here's one hole you could look at. If you said 2 pieces in a hole, you're exactly right. You can see the hole and they've got 1, 2 pieces. In fact, I could draw a fraction on top of my number line to show that. So I drew a fraction strip on top and I actually shaded part of it. So you can think, how many pieces are in this fraction strip? 2. And how many pieces are shaded? 1. So what fraction of the strip is shaded? We would say 1/2. We don't say 1/2, we say 1/2. And so I could write up here 1/2 to represent this fraction. Now, is the fraction strip the same length as the distance between 0 and 1? Yeah, I lined it up perfectly. So down here on my number line, I could put the same fraction, 1/2 on my number line. So we can now go above 1. We can get to bigger numbers. So here we go. I still have my fraction strip above 0 to 1, that hole, but I also added another hole here as well. So I need to label the mark between 1 and 2 on my number line. So you could think, how many whole numbers have we counted up to this point? So far we've counted 1 whole number, and we have not gotten all the way to here. We're still here. So we know we have 1. Now think, how much more than 1 whole do we have? We have 1/2 more than 1 whole. So this is when we would write what's called a mixed number. So first I write my whole number. I have 1 whole. And then I have 1/2 more than 1 whole. We would say 1 and a half. So that's how I would put that on my number line. I'm going to show you guys because it's a little confusing with the way we say it. We say 1 and a half. That's how we say it, 1 and a half. But the way we write it, we just say like this, 1 and a half. We just say the and, but we don't have to write it. We just put it right next to the whole number. Whole number first, fractional number second. So let's practice again with a little bit higher numbers. And this time, I actually want you to pause and I want you to copy this number line down nice and big into your notebook. You don't have to write the numbers in between, the mixed numbers, yet. You can just copy this down. So pause now. Okay, I hope you have this written in your notebook so we can practice writing the mixed numbers together. So let's practice writing them together. I have my first whole number, 6. We would have 6 holes back here. I'm having to imagine that it goes all the way up to 6 because I can't really see them. And now I'm going to pretend I have just this much more than 6. So I know I have 6 holes and this little part, 1/2. Go ahead and label that in yours. Now I'm at 7 and now I'm going to go up a little bit more, 7 and 1/2. Then 8. A little bit higher than 8, we're going to go to here. It's not all the way to 9. We're not to our next hole yet. It's 8 and 1/2. Make sure your number line looks like this. You could pause if you need to, and then we'll move on. So now it is your turn to try by yourself. So we're going to write the missing mixed numbers on the number line. The bonus down here, this says 11, 12, and 13, and there's one that comes before 11. So go ahead, pause now, and you could write the missing mixed numbers. Okay, did you get to write it in your notebook? If you did not, rewind a little bit and pause so you can do it to practice. Let's go over it. We had 5 wholes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus a little, not all the way to 6, just plus a little bit. And we had 5 and 1/2. Always write the whole number first, the fraction second. 6, 6 and 1/2, and then we get to 7. For this one, it's bigger numbers, letter B, 9, 9 and 1/2, 10, 10 and 1/2. And for the bonus, you could start at 11 and go up 11 and 1/2 to before 12. But if you look, there's one down here. You have to think what comes before 11. So I know the whole before 11 is 10. So I go back up a little bit. It would be 10 and 1/2. And then 11. And then 11 and 1/2, 12. Oh, 12 and 1/2. And then 13. You can check your work. And then we'll move on. Remember, if you've got any questions, just pause the video and ask me, okay? Because I'm here. Right. So let's move on from fractions. Sometimes that helps people because they're familiar with fractions. And then we can start thinking about a ruler. So I drew a ruler really big, but I also wanted to show you I have a ruler that's actually, this is the real size. I made it myself and I measured it carefully. And this is how big an inch actually is. It's about this big. But I'm going to mostly be showing you this bigger one just so you can see better. So here's a zoomed in version of my ruler. And I want you to think what fraction each part, here's my whole inch. And I want you to think what fraction of the inch each part is. Here's a part. And of course it's 1/2 of an inch. And I want to also take this time to just mention, you could also say 1/2 an inch. And this is 1/2. When we have more than 1/2, like this would be 2 halves, we would say 2 or more halves with a V. So that's just something to know. Okay, so we have 1/2 inch markings on our rulers all the time. And you might see one, if you find one after this lesson, you'll notice it doesn't have a label because we want you to learn it yourself, okay? And then your ruler won't have a label on it because then you just know it yourself. So this would be 1/2. This is 1. This one is 1 and 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and label this on my ruler because I want to know what each marking is. But remember, when you have a plastic ruler at home, it might not have that marking. Let's practice on the ruler. If we practice writing it, then you'll remember it. And then when you have your plastic ruler, you won't have to write on it to remember it. So I drew a ruler. Take a moment and draw your own ruler, okay? And then you could label the markings on the ruler so you could remember what they would be. So go ahead and pause. You could draw your own, and you do not need to do it in color like I did. Okay, let's go over it. If you didn't have enough time, pause so you could draw the labels on your ruler. So 0 holes. This is only 1/2 of a hole. Now we're at 1. 1 and a little bit. 1 and 1/2. 1, 2. 2 and a little bit. 2 and 1/2. 1, 2, 3 and a little bit. 3 and 1/2. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a little bit. 4 and 1/2. Okay, your ruler should look like that. Remember to pause and check if it does not or if it does. Now we can actually use our rulers to measure lines. So let's take a look first at the green line. So think about how long is this line? 1, 2, 3. We count whole numbers first, and then we count our fractional parts. This doesn't go all the way to 4, it's just 1/2. So remember, first we write the whole numbers, 3 and a half. So this line, I'm just going to write it here so I know. Oops, 3 and a half. I almost wrote it the wrong way. One part is shaded and 2 parts are in the hole. Now, some kids get tricked. If I drew a red line on top that also ends at 3 and a half, I could trick some kids and I could say, this line also ends at 3 and a half. So this line is also 3 and a half inches. That is not the case. Is this line the same length as this line? No, it's much shorter. Remember to count the holes. 1 hole here, see, this is 1, and this is an extra half. So you can see that this line is 1.5 inches. Someone just did not put it over here at the end. If they had, you can even imagine moving it over. If they put it over at the end, it'd be a little easier, right? You could go 1.5, and it is 1.5 inches. So don't be fooled. Make sure you look at both ends and really think about how long it is, how many holes it is, and how many halves. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you some of those to try. All right. Take a look. And you don't need to draw the ruler. I outlined in red the parts I want you to do. Letter A is an example. We measured all the way to 4.5. I want you just to write 4.5 inches. Measure these two on your own. You might need to pause to see how long the line is. Okay, if you didn't have a chance, that's okay. Go back a little bit and pause. All right, so I'm looking at the first one, and I see it's 1 hole, 2 holes. Oh, that's exactly 2 inches. So do I need to write 2.5? No, because it's exactly, oh, it's so nice. It's exactly 1, 2. The second one, oh, we're going to have to count. Okay, sometimes when it's this long, I actually, instead of just drawing with my finger, I could draw with my marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, that helps me if I draw with my marker. That's 1 whole inch, 2 whole inches, 3 whole inches, 4 whole inches, 5 whole inches. This does not go all the way to 6. This line does not. It stops here. It's 5.5. So I would say 5 whole inches plus 1/2. 5.5. So maybe you did the same. Great. Now we are going to stop there, and we are going to move on to measuring to the nearest 1/4 inch later. For now, I want you to check in and show me your work that you did. But when you're done with that, maybe you could go around your house and ask your parent if you have a ruler. Maybe you could measure 5 different things and see how long they are to the nearest 1/2 inch. And you could tell me next time we meet. Great job today, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.